the encyclopedias and licked all the envelopes and helped all the small children, the lion padded down the hall to Miss Merriweather's office to see what else there was to do. There was still some time left before story hour. "Hello, Lion," said Miss Merriweather. "I know something you can do. You can bring a book back into the stacks for me. Let me just get it down from the shelf." She's gonna get it down from the shelf. Miss Merriweather stepped onto the step stool. The book was just out of reach. Miss Merriweather stretched out her fingers. "Almost there," she said. Then Miss Merriweather stretched a little too far. Uh-oh. What's gonna happen? "Ouch," said Miss Merriweather softly. She did not get up. "Mr. McBee," she called after a minute. "Mr. McBee." But Mr. McBee was at the circulation desk. He could not hear her calling. "Lion," said Miss Merriweather, "please go and get Mr. McBee." The lion ran down the hall. "No running," Miss Merriweather called after him. The lion put his big front paws up on the circulation desk and looked at Mr. McBee. "Go away, Lion," said Mr. McBee. "I'm busy." The lion whined. He put his nose down the hall towards Miss Merriweather's office. Mr. B ignored him. He's not being very nice, is he? Finally, the lion did the only thing he could think of to do. He looked at Mr. B right in the eye. Then he opened his mouth really wide and he roared the loudest roar he had ever roared in his life. Doesn't that look like a big, big roar, friends? Look at his big mouth open at Mr. McBee. He had to get his attention. Miss Merriweather needs help. Mr. McBee gasped. "You're not being quiet," he said to the lion. "You're breaking the rules." Mr. McBee walked down the hall as fast as he could. The lion did not follow him. He had broken the rules. He knew what that meant. He hung his head and walked towards the doors. Mr. McBee did not notice. "Miss Merriweather," he called as he walked. "Miss Merriweather, the lion broke the rules. The lion broke the rules." There he goes. And there the lion goes. It's so sad. He burst into Miss Merriweather's office. She was nowhere in her chair. "Miss Merriweather," he called. "Sometimes," said Miss Merriweather from the floor behind her desk, "there is a good reason to break the rules, even in a library. Now please go call a doctor. I think I have broken my arm." Oh no. Mr. McBee ran to call the doctor. "No running," Miss Merriweather called after him. See, she's underneath her desk. The next day, things were back to normal. Almost. Miss Merriweather's left arm was in a cast. The doctor had told her not to work too hard. "I will have my lion to help me," said Miss Merriweather. But the lion did not come to the library that morning. At 3 o'clock, Miss Merriweather walked over to the story corner. The story lady was just beginning a story for the children. The lion was not there. Where could he have gone? Where is he? People in the library kept looking up from their books and computer screens, hoping that they would see a familiar furry face. But the lion did not come that day. The lion did not come the next day either, or the day after that. Friends, why is the lion not coming to story time? Where could he be? Why isn't he there? I think I skipped a page. Yep. One evening, Mr. McBee stopped by Miss Merriweather's office on his way out. "Can I do anything for you before I go, Miss Merriweather?" he asked her. "No, thank you," said Miss Merriweather. She was looking out the window. Her voice was very quiet, even for the library. Mr. McBee frowned as he walked by. He thought there was probably something he could do for Miss Merriweather. After all, what do you think he's gonna do for her? What's something that's gonna make her happy? Let's see. Mr. McBee left the library, but he did not go home. He walked around the neighborhood. He looked under cars. He looked under bushes. Friends, what could he possibly be looking for? He looked in backyards and trash cans and tree houses. He's looking a lot of different places. Finally, he circled all the way back to the library. The lion was sitting outside, looking in through the glass doors. "Hello, Lion," said Mr. McBee. The lion did not turn around. "I thought you might like to know," said Mr. McBee, "that there's a new rule at the library. No roaring allowed unless you have a very good reason. Say, if you're trying to help a friend who's been hurt, for example." The lion's ears twitched. He turned around, but Mr. McBee was already walking away. See how sad he looks in the rain? It's raining really hard. He's looking in the window of the library. The next day, Mr. McBee walked down the hall to Miss Merriweather's office. "What is it, Mr. McBee?" said Miss Merriweather in her new, quiet, sad voice. "I thought you might like to know," said Mr. McBee, "that there's a lion in the library." Miss Merriweather jumped up from her chair and ran down the hall. Mr. McBee smiled. "No running," he called after her. Miss Merriweather, she didn't listen. Sometimes there was a good reason to break the rules, even in the library. Friends, look at all these kids in this picture. Look at Miss Merriweather and the grown-ups. Look at their faces. How are they feeling right now? How are they feeling that the lion came back to the library? Yeah, they're feeling so happy to have their lion friend back. They missed him so much. They are so happy to have him back. And there's the last page. That's the picture of the library. What do you notice about these little columns that are in front of the library? Yeah, they have lions on top of them. Oh my goodness, I love that book so much. That's so fun. Well, friends, thank you so much for joining me for story time today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.